Hello, welcome back to our Batman the Animated Series episodes commentary. And today's episode is going to be Tyger Tyger, a very different and interesting episode of this show. So as usual, let's make our countdown so you can watch this episode with me in your Blu-ray box set or DVD box set or streaming service with Batman the Animated Series. So let's go in 3, 2, 1, let's play. The Warner Bros. Logo is on the screen. And yes, today's episode is a very different in terms of tone and genre, because it is a fantastical, at the same time kind of horror episode, and it is very much inspired by the Island of Dr. Moreau, if you know this book, and there is also a movie with Marlon Brando, if you remember that one. Yes, that story that has this crazy scientist on an island that creates this, or actually mix the genetics of humans and animals to create some beasts, right? Men with animal characteristics like tigers, bears, monkeys, you name it. And this episode is very much inspired in that story, because we will see Batman on an island that has this kind of creatures. So it's a very interesting in concept story for the show. And it also enters in that thing that I love about the show, that is the variety of genres and stories, and also taking elements from different, entertainment stories, right? So we have here this plot that is very much based on the literature. So it's an amazing concept. Do I like the episode? Let's talk about it later. But for now, we have the beginning where we see Catwoman, or Selina Kyle, entering a zoo where she will help this tiger that is trapped in there, but then she is kidnapped by a gorilla man, or at least a guy that has characteristics of a gorilla. And then this security guard of the zoo shows up and tries to intervene in the kidnapping, but he is attacked by the gorilla and thrown into the lake of the tiger, or in the tiger's cage, right? Then we see that Bruce Wayne is waiting in a restaurant for Selina Kyle to have a date with her, but she doesn't arrive, so he calls Alfred. Alfred, as usual, is cleaning the dust of the mansion because he doesn't have anything else to do. And yes, Bruce receives a message from someone telling that Selina Kyle has disappeared, and he goes to the zoo. When he gets there, he finds the police officers and Commissioner Gordon talking to the security guard that was attacked by the ape guy, right? So, all of this will take him to the clues that will lead directly to the plot of the episode. Which is funny. If you think about the logic of the episode, why did Selina went to the zoo before she went to the date, right? What was the deal there? But anyway, plus a zoo open at night is a little bit strange, but maybe she broke into the place. And then we cut to the island where Selina is being maintained as a hostage. And there, she is trapped in this table inside a laboratory where this creature, Tigress, which is a huge beast man that is a mixture of a black tiger, I think, with a man. He shows up to her and she gets scared by him, and then we have the scientist, the crazy scientist of the episode, showing up and explaining to her what is Tigress. And then we see this interesting scene that displays the abilities of Tigress. He fights the gorilla man that is also one of the creatures of the scientist, and in a display of his how fast he is, how strong he is. So here the scientist explains Selena that he kidnapped her because he knows she is Catwoman, so he wants to give her the ability to be an actual Catwoman, right? So he puts he puts a medicine on her through a syringe, and then we cut to Dr. Kirk Langstrom, the Man-Bat. Of course, he is not Man-Bat in this episode. He's just being visited by Batman, and Batman is trying to get some information about the scientist that kidnapped Selena. And who's better to talk about DNA and mixture of genetics or mixture of genes, animals and humans, than Mr. Langstrom here, right? So Batman gets the directions to the island of the doctor. I forgot the name of the doctor, but we will get there. I will eventually remember his name. And there is this very cool, amazing shot of the island from afar. This is what I love about this show. The design of the places and all that stuff. And we see this very gothic island in the distance. And Batman flies there with his Batwing, and then he also lands on the place with his glider. And we have this very, horror mood, gothic kind of island that is dark and has many trees, and the lightning gives the mood of the scene as well. By the way, this is a very well animated episode, a perfectly animated episode in the show, which is bizarre because I guess this is one of the forgettable episodes if you think about it. But in terms of animation, is top notch, absolutely incredible. And there we have the gorilla fighting with Batman very, very, very briefly. So Batman is able to defeat the gorilla easily, and then he starts talking with the scientist. And the scientist shows what he did to Selena, which is exactly the splicing of genes between her DNA and a tiger, I suppose, or a panther. But she actually became a Catwoman now. She's a blonde, or at least a yellow Catwoman. So Batman sees her and gets shocked by the transformation. She actually became something like the cheetah, right? The character of Wonder Woman, the villain of Wonder Woman. She became a kind of cheetah in that case. Batman breaks the glass where Selena is being kept. She's kept inside this little forest inside the lab, and Batman breaks the glass because he wants to save her. And there is a way to reverse the transformation. He only needs the antidote for that. But the doctor explains that Selena needs only one more injection of the DNA to fully become the Catwoman. So it still is a process. Her transformation is in process. Then we have Tyger showing up, and we're gonna have a fight between him and Batman. It becomes very clear also that Tyger has feelings for Selena, or at least he is in love with this version of the Catwoman. And why not, right? It is a female Tyger of his own kind, and the only female he can get involved, right? Later in the episode, we're going to see that he's a very lonely creature, and his story is kind of sad. But anyway, Batman and Tyger start to fight, and then Selena intervenes because she knows that the strength of Tyger is too much for Batman. And Batman tries to talk with Selena to come with him, but then Tyger attacks again. We're going to have this crazy and awesome fight between Bat and the Tyger. The doctor, Dorian is his name. I forgot his last name, but his name is Dorian. Or maybe his last name is Dorian anyway. He calls the gorilla man called Garth, and Garth throws a net on the Catwoman to trap her so she doesn't intervene. And Tyger, he also traps the arms of Batman with his strength. So there you go. While there is some conversation here, let me talk about the new Batman, the animated series. I mean, the new animation of Batman in the Amazon Prime, if you know about it, called Batman the Caped Crusader. I already made a video here in the channel talking about my impressions of the show and what I thought about all the episodes. So in the video, there are brief reviews of each individual story and what I thought about it. Resuming, I think it's a great show, very well written. Some of the scripts are awesome, but at the same time, it lacks a little bit of the fun factor that Batman the Animated Series has. Even though there are some supernatural episodes just like this one, it still lacks a little bit of fun or identification with the character that I thought, for example, Batman the Animated Series triumphantly achieves, right? And check it out. I'll leave the link of the episode right here at the end of this video, so you can watch it later and know my impressions of Batman the Caped Crusader. We all know that it's going to be very difficult for any new animation to surpass what Batman the Animated Series achieved in terms of the animation itself, the style, the stories, everything, the interpretation of the villains. For me, it's always going to be Batman the Animated Series. Then my second favorite animation is the Batman from 2004, and the third one, Batman the Brave and the Bold. And maybe after these three animations comes Batman the Caped Crusader. But it doesn't take the merit of this new show, so please watch it. Anyway, we have here now Catwoman escapes from her arrest, and meanwhile we have this chase in the forest between Tigers and Batman, and we have this amazing fight, in my opinion, where both of these characters, they run after each other, they fight, and they end up on a cliff where they also fight, and they fall on the rock wall, and then Batman is able to trap Tigers in a net that wraps around the trunk of a tree, and he realizes that Tigers is able to talk. So Batman realizes that he is able to reason with the creature, or with the man inside the creature. So Tygrus remains trapped, and Batman returns to try to find Selina. And all this scene takes place in this very amazing wooden or forest-like environment that is pretty much perfectly designed. The trees, the rocks, the darkness around. Now we have a scene that reminds me of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, with Batman and Tygrus fighting over this very frail bridge that takes from one edge of the cliff to another, and below them there is this precipice. So Batman cuts one of the edges of the bridge with the Batarang, and the bridge turns, and they hang on this bridge while fighting. So it is amazing. And then one of the edges of the bridge breaks, and both fall in the precipice. And it's a fantastic scene, really, really well animated. Batman is able to fall on a branch of a tree that is stuck on the rock wall, and then there is this great scene where Tygrus falls above him, but he dodges Tygrus, and Tygrus goes through the branch and falls in the precipice, apparently dead. But of course, we know that that's not. I can't help but continue to talk about this forest environment in this episode that is amazing. I mean, I am amazed by the whole design of this environment. It's one of the greatest, scenarios of any of these episodes, in my opinion. So Batman finds Selina, and then Tygrus also shows up. And Selina explains to Tygrus the real nature of his father, I mean the scientist Dorian, and that his father fooled him, and so she tries to reason with Tygrus, putting some consciousness in his mind, and this enrages the monster. Then we get back to the lab, where Tygrus is slapped by Dorian because he let the Batman go, and he also lets Selina talk to him and reason with him with all the truth regarding the Doctor's real intentions. And then we're going to have this fight scene where Tygrus is going to turn against the Doctor. And this is where we're going to have his real consciousness, revealing that he has a good heart, show up and prevail. And while this fight occurs, I can say my feelings towards this episode. If you didn't notice so far, I really like this episode. But when I was a child, it was one of those forgettable ones, or the ones I didn't care that much, because I wasn't really keen on beasts or creatures like this, and I didn't know the nuances of the inspiration in Island of Dr. Moreau. So now I really love this episode. I think it's one of the best in terms of the gothic nature of the show, the amazing stories with the supernatural, or at least the out of the ordinary stories of Batman. And I really love, today I also love the idea of man creatures. Man-Bat is one of my favorite characters of the Batman lore, so that helps a lot. And yeah, I really love this episode. I think it's one of the ones that people tend to ignore, but I think it's definitely one of the most interesting ones. Not in the top 10, but it's good either way. And then Tigers destroys the lab of the doctor, and in this very Frankenstein inspiration as well, we see him coming out of the laboratory that just exploded, and all these things with the doctor in his hands, carrying him, because even though he understands the cruelty of the doctor, he can't let the doctor die. He can't let his father die because he's better than this. And then we have this very sad ending where actually Selena thinks she's gonna be like this forever because the lab was destroyed. So showing even more his good side, Tigress says goodbye to her and puts the antidote in her hands, and then he disappears into the night while some rain starts to fall. So it's an absolute perfect ending, and very sad, and this is my favorite kind of ending, where it ends in this mysterious, dark, and sad way, with Tigress just going into the forest and disappearing, and that's it. We'll never see him again in the show. But the mystique of this ending, with him on top of a rock, with the sour destiny of having to live forever and alone in this island, is just perfect for this episode. So there you go. Tyger Tyger. I really love this episode. I hope you liked as well. Thank you so much if you are liking the content of BATGUS, and if you are not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel and leave a like in this video for more Bat content in the future. Alright? See you in the next Bat video, and bye bye.